Can everyone hear me? Okay. It's been a long time since, KMI in front of people, but my wife always says, "Hore, it's funny because you stand in front of people every day." I'm a teacher, high school teacher. I teach history, and today, all of us are here for a reason. And today is going to be a day that we're all going to remember. So, Nekekupa, just for us to be together and help me understand what's happening here. So, I'm going to look at the screen a lot. I'm going to do some reading, and I'm also going to be pressing this laptop. So, Nekekupa, my actions, I'm asking that you hear what I have to say because it's going to be very interesting. I am going to be very emotional, and I actually don't know what's going to happen, to be honest. But I can promise you that whatever you're going to hear is going to benefit you. Thank you so much. So I was asked to speak on Black consciousness and education. And Benkelas understand that you are here not only to understand what Black consciousness is, but you are here to be woken up for something to happen so that you take it home and there's action that happens. So if no one knows who this is Stephen Bantu Biko. He looks old, but he was actually quite young, under the age of 30, believe it or not. So the purpose of today is not for us to understand Black consciousness completely. Okay, thank you. The purpose of today is not for us to understand Black consciousness in its entirety. The purpose is for something in us to ignite, to start. Something must begin that will hopefully grow and cause us to act. So in other words, after everything, we are supposed to be conscientized. So before I begin, Nekekupa just to give us an outline, this whole process. So we will start by defining consciousness, so that and in the news today and tonight, when all these political leaders start speaking and they use the word Black consciousness, at least we have an idea of what's happening. So, but before that, we are going to go into what I call separating things in order to understand them. So I am not going to say Black consciousness is this. I'm going to break it up, start with the word consciousness, and then explain, and then answer so that everyone knows. So as kis kilikenya class in public holiday, but I promise you this class is very interesting. Because this talk is on Black consciousness and education, we will try to understand how education fits in, whether there's a link between education and Black consciousness, and there is a link. We will then proceed to understand the life of Steve Biko and how he got involved in Black consciousness. So when we get to this part, number 3, I'm just going to do reading mostly because it is just an account of him. I'm not going to go into detail. Then after that, I'm going to now combine the term Black consciousness and define it, and then all of us are going to understand what it is. And then this will lead us to a very important subject that I call the enemy of Black consciousness. Now, believe it or not, as much as we are here, there are those who, if they found out that we were here, they would do anything to make this meeting dissolve, because they understand better than us what is happening today. And then the last thing, I'm going to just share my thoughts. That's when, I get emotional and I talk, So, So, I sat down, I looked at the meaning of consciousness. I just took a dictionary, and the dictionary says, consciousness means to become aware, okay? So I was not happy with that, so I dug further, and then I looked at the opposite, just to give me an idea. So the opposite of being aware is to be asleep. So in other words, for there to be black consciousness, there has to be black sleepness. Or for there to be consciousness, there has to be sleep. So, please follow along. Ne? Ignore this head, ignore everything. Please focus here and focus on my voice if you can. So, being aware means that it's something that is intentional. It's something that you do on purpose. So, all of us here could have been anywhere else. We could have been sleeping, whatever. But we are here because we did it on purpose. And because we did it on purpose, there's going to be a result in this. And I hope that by the end of the presentation, we'll be able to see. So, with this in mind then, let us define what consciousness is. Consciousness is the part of the mind that is aware of itself. Ne? So can we please keep that in mind? Uguti, maslogis kulumange black consciousness. There's something that needs to happen that causes us to be aware, Uguti, oh man, who am I? Ne? Can we please keep that in mind? Now, I'm also going to talk a little bit about how education fits into this whole thing. So in this part of the presentation, what I'm going to do, I'm going to go back. I'm a history teacher, I have to go back. Magenzagale something, I always ask the same question. What happened? I go back all the time. So in this part of the presentation, we have to go back to the past, i.e. during apartheid. So according to what we know, apartheid officially started in 1948 as law. And then I'm also going to go kancane before apartheid so that we get an idea so that we have a better understanding because everything is connected. So the question is, what role did education play in the past in eventually causing the birth of black consciousness? So, ngamanye amagama, black consciousness started in an educational environment. That's what I'm trying to say. So, you can't divorce the reason we are here and education. They are connected. So, the follow-up question that we should ask is this. Who were the main drivers of education before apartheid? So, makhuluma nabantu abadala and you ask them about education, they always refer to Bantu education. But there was a system before that. And that system will help us to then understand, to say, oh, that's why we are here today. So, before Bantu education, there was what is called missionary education or Christian missionary education. What is that? Basically, iso. Before the Europeans or Abelungu came to Africa, there was already a system in place. We knew what to do, we knew what to eat, we knew where to get water, we knew how to run our lives. So when they came in not with guns at first. Eventually they did bring guns, but when they came in at first, they came in using religion. Baletha abafundisi laqala before they brought guns. So I want us to follow this. So basically, the European countries would send white priests or missionaries to the African continent and any other place that they want to take over. And through the religion of those Europeans, priests would set up a school. So, if I want to take over your house, I don't come with knives and guns. I come dressed nicely, and I tell you that I come in peace. I bring something greater, something that will change your life. I come in, I look at your situation, I see what I want, and then from then on, whatever I'm going to say is going to make you give me what I want. So, let's see this. So, priests would come in and they would set up a school. What is the purpose of that school? That school, the purpose of it is to teach the language. Remember, Abelungu come, France, Spain, Britain, they come, they don't know the language. So they set up a school to facilitate so that both people can understand the language. The second reason, which is actually the first reason, to teach the religion of those priests through that education system. So, Esau, I was saying this to the brothers outside. The first English word that our African ancestors learned was most probably from the Bible. Do you understand what I'm saying? So, umuntu omnyama makafundi isilungu, akafundi isilungu kuphela. Isilungu siza noNkulunkulu wabo. And that person is already disadvantaged because they don't understand the language. They are at the mercy of that priest because that priest knows the language to interpret the Bible for them. So what am I saying? What am I saying? I'm saying that our demise, our state right now, or the state of our ancestors when the Europeans came, the attack on us, black people, Africans, was spiritual first. So let me repeat again. Let me repeat again. Let me put it this way, and I hope it works. Let me put it this way. If a guy ashela intombazana, ne? And the guy is maybe French or is Spanish, uzofuna ukukuchama ngeSfrench, angithi? And then uzokhuluma igama that you don't understand, but it sounds nice. But you have given yourself up to that person because you are relying on him to tell you what that word means. And then makakutshela sekakuthathile. So, here's the point, because I need to move on. Here's the point. The first area where our African ancestors were killed or were taken over was their spiritual area first. Because the spiritual area informs the rest of your life. It informs everything else. And that's why sisbuza sithi, Mara, how can lo muntu abulala umntwana or ayenze 1, 2, 3, 4? Because our problem is deeper than just saying, let's unite, asambeni si create employment, or it's deeper than that. We need to find out how to break this thing that happened, but we will get there shortly. So, if consciousness means to be aware, to be awake, and to be awake is the opposite of being asleep, then it means that the process that was used to cause the black man to sleep, to die, because if we take the Bible uses sleep as a euphemism for death, right? So it means that the process that was used to cause the black man to die or to sleep is firstly a spiritual one. A spiritual one. Now, how does apartheid fit into all of this? How does Bantu education fit into all of this? So I want to explain something quickly before I get here. So I mentioned that before apartheid, there was missionary schools, right? Europeans would send priests. Priests would set up a school to teach the black man about God, right? Now, the Afrikaner nation was a special group of people who had a different belief system. So the people who were here in South Africa, let's use South Africa, the people who were here in South Africa who dominated us was the British, or the people of the Queen, or Rabantbase England, and the Afrikaners. Linda Bazaboyan van Riebeck, you know. So that's Eline Yamapunu. And then there's Eline the British. Those were the people who dominated. And both of them had their own beliefs when it comes to how to dominate and destroy us black people. But the common denominator between the British and the Afrikaners is us. Both of them agreed that they need to control us for them to remain at the top. So how did they do that? Through education. Let me explain. So Amabunu, or the Afrikaner, believed that they are a special people that God chose, and they believed Bonuguti, God made them like Israel. That's why Amabunu came up with the concept of apartheid. The word apartheid means apartness. That's why bebangasifuni, because they believed uNkulunkulu bakhethile bafuna ukuthi bangangcoli njengabantu baseBhayibhelini ama-Israel. They believe that. They honestly believe that. So, just like I said now, the word apartheid literally means apartness. So they believed, just like Israel in the Bible, they have to separate themselves from other races, especially us, who we are seen as inferior, to remain pure. That's why in the 1950s, during apartheid, they passed laws called the Sexual Immorality Act, where they did not allow blacks and whites to mix, because they viewed themselves if bahlangana nathi siyabangcolisa, because they believed ukuthi uNkulunkulu uthumele bona to come and help us. So do you see where that comes from? So even today, they might deny it, but it's true. It's ingrained in them. They even have unconscious actions that they do. But ngizakhuluma ngayo when I get emotional shortly, because as much as they believe ukuthi siyabangcolisa, here's a contradiction. If umuntu uyakungcolisa, why umenza ukuthi aklinele indlu yakho, akukhulisela abantwana? That doesn't make sense. If umuntu uyakungcolisa, you should not want them near you. But amabhunu akhonile ukuthi baqasha bogogo bethu babayenza ama-domestic. That doesn't make sense. There's a flaw in their thinking. So in my view, they might believe this, but it's rubbish. Ukusanje. That's what it is. It's just pure evil, in my opinion. Ne? Moving on. So, Ibantu education is something that comes from the belief leyo yamabhunu. They created a separate education for us because they believed that God put them higher than us. So they cannot create something that's going to make us equal to them. That's why Bantu education was created, to make abogogobe to just gardeners, or, cleaners and all those things. Because remember, as much as I'm a teacher, I had to study for a very long time. But the dala, to be a teacher, bonga teacher now standard 6 or grade 8. Because they did not believe a black man mele aye phezulu. So they would take a black man on a standard 6, ahamba fundisa abantwana on standard 6. Do you understand? So it was something that was created with that in mind. So please keep that in mind. It's very important. So Steve Biko, the father of Black consciousness movement in South Africa, grew up and was educated in an environment built on the foundation that I've just explained. So even if now you are thinking to yourself, but apartheid daliphelile, democracy, ngisemntwanami ku Saint Mangmang, it's the same. It has not changed. Why? Because when your child goes to Saint Mangmang, they don't come back knowing more about who they are and where they come from. They come back with information about Boko Lambas, Libo Mangmang, telling you, their parent, that they know better than you. And that is designed to break us even more. You must understand that. It is designed like that. Nasekas, I teach ekas ikona la iphinvile. I teach zona lezinto lezi. I teach those things, but I try my best to insert things that will hopefully help them to remember. So I just want to mention something important regarding this. The educated black man today who is asleep, who says, but we are free now, we are no longer in Bantu education, is a fool. Because there was no alternative education system created. UMandela makaphuma naye ngizokhuluma ngayo ngoba inontsonzo naye. But there was no education created for us to reverse the cycle. No. It was just adapted. Ne? There was no alternate or parallel education that was created specifically to unlearn what was inserted in black minds. So even if you go to university, you are still learning the same things that your forefathers were learning, and you can't do anything about it because you think you are free. We are not free. Just because you are sebenza, uyahola, uhlala, townhouse or whatever, you're not free. You are not free. Let me prove it. There's an advert I hate with all of my heart. Kia One Life. Yeah, they can sue me, I don't care. Ne? Iri generational wealth. Like keep black people. Bahlaya a pie chart ya bua hore 5% ki life cover, 2% ki funeral cover. That is not generational wealth. How can you create generational wealth ngama police? Azo taxiwa. It doesn't make sense. The person who owns One Life Insurance is the one who has generational wealth. Same person who was there during the process of apartheid to secure land yakhe, business yakhe. That's the person who has generational wealth. So in other words, who has generational wealth? Simply put, it is the person who has land. That's it. You can have nothing, no money. But if you have land, you are rich. Let me prove it. Let's take the apple. You steal an apple somewhere, we cut it in half, you take a paper towel, we are manzis ufake apple, you roll it up, we beg langin. What's going to happen to the apple? It's going to start growing izinto. You put it on the ground, you get an apple tree. Simple. So take some apple. From nothing. Then you want peaches. You steal a peach from someone's yard, you break it up, you take the seed, you break the seed, you take a paper towel, put the seed inside, we are evala, same process. My kula lezinto zakhona, you put it on the ground, you have a peach tree. Now you zovula your own fruit and veggie market out of nothing. So the people who came here and saw that, baboni lugut, okay, we can use this land. Now let me tell you something interesting. Did you know in Europe, most of Europe, the things and the plants that they have come from here? A lot of them. So they came here, babona a specific plant. They take that plant, bahambe nayo, bayoyitshala ngale. They did a lot of that because they know the value of land. So just to debunk Abu Julius Nabo Banban. Abu Julius Bakulma, the point is this. You don't want land just to go to Fagum Kuku so that to totally RDP so that Ufagumunyum Kuku so that Urentis. Okay, I understand you can make money, but there's more to that. Let me give you an example. If you go to Free State, Eastern Cape, Limpopo, Northwest, a lot of people bury their loved ones in the backyard. So land gives them sentimental value. They are attached to it because their father is there, their mother is there. But the white person doesn't do that. The white person digs up your mother because they are thinking money. Bamthatha bamlahlela le. Inhliziyo yakhe ibabhlungu, not because kuhamba nje umhlaba, but lo mhlaba loyo anyeke usakukhumbuza ubabakho. So they have destroyed a lot of things. I can speak forever, but we have to continue. We have to continue. Now, we are now coming to the part of just the life of Steve Biko, so that we just know who he is, where he comes from, etc. And in this part, I'm just going to read quickly. Ne? So he was born in the Eastern Cape in 1946. Biko became interested in anti-apartheid politics at an early age. After completing secondary school, he studied further in higher education as a medicine student at the University of KwaZulu-Natal. So that's when he met someone else, Bani Pichana. They met, and what they saw there and what they experienced at the university caused them to want to act. Because into Bebaibona, they did not like it all. Realizing that the majority of students were white and the black students were unfairly treated by whites, he decided that blacks should have their own student body, which represents their aspirations. So he saw a problem and he was like, okay, let us try and create something for us. Ne? Now, there's nothing wrong in creating something for black people. Now, let me jump to the part of the enemy of black consciousness, then I'll come back. Now, whenever we create something for us, who are the first people to complain? White people. Now, let me give you a practical example. There's a party called, I don't know if it's still there, Black Fest, Land Fest. Ne? I'm not promoting the party, I'm just making an example. The leader of that party said he doesn't want white people in his party. Right? But AfriForum went to court to force the leader of the BLF to break down his party, simply because he wants black people first. But AfriForum is for Afrikaners first, and no one is saying anything. There's a place in the Northern Cape called Orania. It's for Afrikaners only. No one is saying anything. No one is taking them to court. But when umuntu omnyama start an organization, no, we don't want white people. Bazoyiphula. So why? Because they know what they did. And they know that if there are the right conditions, the right people, black people are going to break that spiritual curse. I'll show you just now. So, the Blacks Only Student Organization was formed because Steve Biko was unhappy. Its task was to conscientize black students. Remember, Use University la, he's seeing the problem. Uyabona blacks and whites are being separated in my lecture hall. So he's doing something about that. So the purpose of this organization was to instill a sense of self-pride and unity in order for them to resist white laws. SASO spread the ideas of black consciousness across campuses. It promoted black unity and encouraged students to liberate themselves from apartheid, to wake up and to free yourself, to wake up from the sleep that you are in. But my argument is this. We cannot wake up nje, thina sizivuse, because whatever is on us is spiritual. That is why the national anthem is a prayer. Because those people understood. We think they didn't. We think they just wanted to be equal. No. They understood ukuthi khona into ekhona ebasenze yona. And the only person who can help us is Nkosi Sikeleli Africa. They knew that. Okay, let's continue with Steve Biko. So from campuses, the ideas of black consciousness were spread across South Africa. It resulted to the formation of black consciousness movement, which encourages solidarity and self-reliance among black South Africans. Young people were sent to various communities to set up literacy campaigns. So uyafika Ubiko, uyafika as a young student in his first year already, and uyabona problem. And together with Upani Pichana and others, they were so inspired and angered by what was around them that they influenced other students to spread this idea that says, guys, I know you are going to university, but can't you see that something wrong here? We sleep in separate dormitories, we eat in separate dining halls, we study in separate lecture halls, but let us do something. Let us do something for us. So, Steve Biko and others formed what is called the South African Students Organization. It was an alternative to what they saw there. So, Steve Biko Magafika University, he joined an organization called NUSAS, National Union of South African Students. So that student be mixed, be nabelungu, inabantabamnyama. But then, in that organization called NUSAS, uboni luguti bebaba separate. They were claiming to be one, but they were still being separated. That's one of the reasons why SASO was formed as well. So, through SASO, something called the Black Parents Association was formed. Now, this is interesting. Abantwana yibo the ones who influence the parents. That's interesting. And if you are checker now, our children are doing exactly the same thing, but they are influencing us with the wrong things. By eskolweni, they learn whatever, by letendlini, because tina siyabasaba or rangazini, we ufuna ukuba please or whatever. We do what they do. Nathi sesiyabhoboza la, sesikhuluma isilungu, hey. So there's something about young people and their ability to influence, right? Black People's Conventions, that's what BPC means. Its aim was to introduce a form of socialism which was referred to as black communism. The aim was to halt black reliance on white people. Now, if negilugo tlasing negitobutsa, do you think that thina bantu abamnyama we are relying on white people? You can answer if you want. Yes. Now let me prove it. And I'm going to use an example that is so deep. I hope people will understand. Now, let us take someone's personality. Ne? So I turned that word. That's why I call about date my family, nabo single and mingle. Abantu bafuna ma personality as also. So let's look at personality. Ne? Let's say I am an outgoing person. Ngenze example. I'm saying I'm an outgoing person. I love parties. I love this. Sharp. But now, question is my personality linked to my dependence on white people? Let's see. Okay. Ngifuna party. Number one, I need to bath. What do I need to bath? I need water, I need soap. Soap is not free. I go a Pick and Pay, I buy soap. Ntengi Lux. The owner of Lux gets more money. It's fine. ngifaka i-jean, ngifaka icathulo, ngifaka i-Levi, whatever. The person who created these clothes eventually goes to someone who's not black. More money. Ngiyafika ngithenga i-Corona, ngithenga Benini, ngithenga whatever. I don't make the alcohol myself. Before these white people came, we used to make it ourselves, free. Okay, now we buy Corona, we take out more money. Then we meet a guy who go get the same clothes or the nice clothes. Now you're influenced. Now, question is this. If all of those things were not there, would we have a good time? No. That proves that we rely on white people. They set up a system where we are dependent on them. Now, let me give a shout out to someone that you might not know. There's a guy from Mpumalanga. His name is Sbusiso. He's a security guard. Ne? That guy found a way of making e-petrol using rubbish and tires. Ne? Uyenza petrol. E-petrol malin manje 20 mang. This guy, he's not known. He wavela in a very popular radio station was advertised. You will see white people are going to take over that business. Instead of them investing in this guy, instead of investing in Usbusiso, but Usbusiso ozal, here's what you need mfethu, uzoyenza ipetrol unikeze thina qala abantu abamnyama. Uzobona. Once that happens, white people are going to have a problem. But things are happening, guys. Number one, let me give an example. Number one, it's been proven, it's a fact, that black people are paying more on their cars, houses, credit cards. Fact, than white people. That's racism. Because you are black, Joe. Now apply loan, you pay more. So, Usbusiso we petrol, if he does his own thing, Bazoti, it's unconstitutional. We also want that petrol. But anyway, I'm coming. Let me just let me just continue. So we started by defining the word consciousness, and we said it is to be awake, to be aware. So now says to define black consciousness. Ne? Now that we have an idea of black consciousness, let us try and define it. Ne? If consciousness is that part of the mind that is aware of itself, then black consciousness is the part of the black man's mind that is aware or awake of who he is. Okay, let me repeat. If consciousness means to be awake, then black consciousness means you are being awake to who you are. But there's a problem right there. Because who we are, we don't know. None of us knows here. That's the problem. That's why I say the attack was spiritual. They have erased everything that we know about ourselves. Let me prove it. Isibarasamla utato. Uye wafika, wakhuluma, washo isithakazelo sakubo. I can bet my life asiphelelanga. Asiphelelanga. I can say mine now. Nake Mekhoe mtaung wa rapir. Ha ke bona ngwetsi ka metsing ke a itahlela ke nana hore ke nama. That's all I know. That's all I know. Because there's a part of us that has been cut off and we'll never get it back. But there are people who understood that and said, okay, since we don't have our past like we used to, let us create something new. For example, Robert Sobukwe. Robert Sobukwe, I'm not speaking about him here, but Robert Sobukwe said, Mina mangpuma, kili Katleho, kimsotu, Ha ke tswa ka mo ntlong, I leave Busuthu baka behind because I ke itse kaofela anyway. And I relate to Tato based on this. Based on the fact that he looks like me. That's it. That's why he had to die. Because Amabunu understood that. Robert Sobukwe knew Uguti, we cannot go back. But we can move forward based on this. So Amabuna Enzan, or white people by Enzan, but we have to celebrate Heritage Day. Be a proud Zulu man. Be a proud Xhosa man. That's nonsense. Because if we're not to celebrate a heritage, how? Somewhere along the line, you are going to think that yours is better than that one. But Robert Sobukwe was like, no, cancel. Let us relate based on this. Mangbon umuntu omnyama is fine. I carry on. Now, just to go forward again. Robert Sobukwe was once arrested no Nelson Mandela. By two, a jail. And Mandela, what did he do? Ubega gqoke his Xhosa regalia. I get this from biography of Robert Sobukwe, because these days, if you don't reference where you got it from, Bagise court. But anyway, that's where I got it from. If you want the reference, I'll give them to you. So, they were once arrested together. Umandela ufake isiXhosa. Robert Sobukwe scolded him for doing that. Because once he does that, uyenza uguti a certain culture iprope up. But Robert Sobukwe was like, no, let not culture prop up, but let our skin prop up. Because we are the same, whether we like it or not. Let's see. So you see, some things should begin to make sense as I'm speaking. I know Nyenza so, but hopefully you are following. Since these people, the Europeans, came, they have been shoving down our throats an identity that is not ours. Let me prove it. They've been telling us who we are because we don't know. They killed it. Let me prove it. Remember Abo H&M advert, the racist advert? Remember the Dove advert? Remember the Clicks advert? All those adverts were telling us, Uguti, having inwele ziso is wrong. You must have inwele as relaxed. Having dark skin is wrong. Dove will make you have light skin. So, Mina, I believe, Uguti, lezinto lezi that happen. It is the spirit of black consciousness, iyasivusa. That's why we got upset. You get upset. You don't even know why you get upset. Because as much as they've killed a lot of who we are, but they did not kill all of who we are. Ne? I'll get to that. I'll get to that. So, the only issue that is being politicized is that our political parties are the ones who take control of this. Bayahamba, bayamosha, and iphelela lapho. But it does not help the black person. It does not help the black person. So, if we still aspire to be like our Europeans, then we are dead, guys. Just know. If we're ufuna ukuhlala la kunabelungu khona ngoba yazi kasi kuyabhora yazi labantu laba bayangidina, you are dead. You are dead. Just forget it. Ne? And the sad part is that it is so ingrained in us, we are not even aware. Let me prove it. Now, my example in Wapalil. Abantu bayaz bleach. Ipons makes you lighter. Dove makes you lighter. Another one. Supporting white businesses instead of black businesses. Mangafika Jan van Banbani la. Ikamera yakhe uzoyibona ngathi yinhle ukudlule yakasichaba. But it's the same thing. Another example that is very controversial. the issue of patriarchy, the issue of feminism, class debates, black tax. All those things are designed to tell us who we are. Black tax, that's rubbish. Umama kukulisile Joe. So if we're now on budget or okay, my old lady, I can only afford 500. If we are complaining, ungakwati, angisho umdala, abantu mawusomdala ama high blood enza all these things. You don't get angry. You just accept marumnikezi what you can afford and uphume endabeni. Why should you make it an issue? Uguti, no, I can't afford, it's black tax. No. Because when maukula, there were a lot of people around you. It was not only your mother. It was your aunt, your this, your that. So if you can, mupimali, upumegu. If you are complaining, it's fine. But don't detach completely because some black tax. What? No, I want to swear, but I'm not gonna swear. Ne? I'm not gonna swear. I'm not gonna swear. So now, here's the part that I wanted to get to. The enemy of black consciousness. Ne? And look, here's what I'm going to say outright. What I'm going to say from now on is the truth. You're not going to like the truth, but it's the truth. Ne? And yes, if I end up in court, I'll just tell the magistrate, you worship or whatever. I don't have money. I'm a first-time offender. Please forgive me. Ngai community service, high. Yeah, because me standing here, I'm not angry. Okay, maybe a little bit, but I'm just telling the truth. That's what I'm doing. That's it. So if the so-called constitution allows me to have freedom of expression, freedom of thought, freedom of association, then at least allow me to tell the truth. And if I do end up in court, I'm going to say, Your Honor, because they do give you a chance to speak, by the way. Your Honor, I just have a question. Is what I said the truth or not? And am I going to be incarcerated because of the truth? Let's see. And because since I'm a history nanan, I put references here. I don't just speak. There are references. You can look at them there. Okay. So, now, this thing here is from a textbook. Ne? A textbook that I'm not going to name. Ngizoyindlulisa fast. Ne? At the end, konama references of the textbook. Ngizoyindlulisa fast because once they see it, they are going to change it. I can bet my life. Once they see this, they are going to change it. So I want to show you something. Hopefully, you'll be able to see. Uguti, how bad this thing is. The fact that we are where we are, how bad it is. So this, by the way, is a grade 11 textbook. Ne? This textbook, this section teaches about South African nationalism, meaning ukuthi abantu abamnyama baye bazihlanganisa kanjani to fight apartheid, yebo? So when you think that is a good thing, angithi, let's see. So right, let me just move down here. I hope you guys can see. Can you see? Or must I zoom anyan? Let me try and zoom. Hopefully it can work. Let me try and zoom. Ne? I want you to see this because it's bad. Okay. Sharp. So this heading, Ipalwe, different types of African nationalism. So when someone hears African nationalism, they get excited because they're like, yeah, black people must come together. Ne? But let's see. It says during the 1940s, there were tensions, Gupi, in the ANC. Okay. The moderates, to be moderate means wikwala, basically. Like you don't stand up for anything. You don't do anything in fullness. You do it moderately. For example, mabati, ungadlutswayi kakhulu, idlutswayi moderately. Uzothatha utele That is moderate, uyasaba, ne? So, the moderates felt that it should build a broad, multiracial opposition movement. Nini? 1940. So, during apartheid, at the height of oppression of black people, the ANC, bafunani, multiracial, not asbhekane abantu abamnyama. They were looking for multiracial. Ne? Okay, please keep that in mind. Now it says, they were opposed by a minority calling themselves Africanists who felt that black Africans should organize kanjani separately. So, during apartheid, hayi ngo-1994, during apartheid, i-ANC beyilwa within itself. Bokhona abantu bebafuna belungu. And then there were those people who wanted just black people. Okay? So I always tell my learners, ANC dali bolile. Da, yo. Okay. Let's continue. The Africanist view was strongly supported by Anton Lembede. Ne? So if you want someone to aspire to, this guy is fine. Ne? Although he died in 1947, his ideas influenced the 1949 program of action. Action against what? Against white people. To do what? To unite black people only, not other races. Ne? But remember, there was a war within the ANC. Bokhona laba bebacabanga ukuthi no yazi noma sihlupheka asizameni ukuthi siba include labantu abasibulalayo. Ne? Sharp. Let's continue. Let's continue. Okay. Now, this is a source, right? It's a primary source. It's Anton Lambede speaking. Ne? He was part of the Youth League Dalali. Ne? Now, this is what he says. He says, Anton Lambede, he says, Africa is a black man's country. Africans are the natives of Africa, and they have inhabited Africa, their motherland. From time immemorial, Africa belongs to them. That is clear, again? But, labantu mabakhuluma be-ANC, what do they like say? They say, South Africa belongs to all who live in it. Now the question is this, does that include everybody or is it only black people? It's everybody. What does it mean? It means the ANC yamanje is dominated by people who are not for black people, including Nelson Mandela. Bayamthanda, oh Mandela, non-tonto. But yeah, we'll see. I want to show you some other things. I really don't like that guy. Like, oh, what's again? Here's another one. This is the next page, ne? The next page of the textbook. It's the next page. Now, I want to, let me see. I want to hopefully see this. Yeah, okay. Let me zoom again. And hopefully, yes, we'll be able to see. Hopefully we'll be able to see. Right. Now the heading of this part of the textbook is called The ANC's Response to Governism. Let me just explain this. This thing is named after a person, ne? A person called Marcus Garvey. Marcus Garvey was a black man. He advocated for the same thing, yoguti. A black man, Africa yakhe. He advocated for those same things. Look at how ANC responds to this. Ne? By the way, just as a preface, I'm not here to bash the ANC. My brother was a member of the ANC. He died as a member of the ANC. But I'm just telling the truth. It's here, it's not me. It's the textbook. And they are going to change it. Now, this is how they respond. Now, it must be noted that there are two streams of African nationalism. One centers around Marcus Garvey's slogan, Africa for Africans. It is based on the Quit Africa slogan and on the cry, hurl the white man into the sea. Yes, they must go. Yeah? So, this brand of African nationalism is extreme. The ANC is saying Africa for Africans is extreme. It's too much. Eh? But they claim to have liberated us. Kanjani? It doesn't make sense. Tina siyavota basinikeza ikipa nokudla. Non-tonto. Doesn't work. Doesn't work. Okay. Udwa iri extreme and ultra revolutionary. Ne? Then iri there is another stream of African nationalism which is moderate. Again, this word moderate. Bayasaba. Ne? And which the Congress Youth League professes. Congress Youth League, ANC, professes. We of the Youth League take account of this concrete situation in South Africa. Ne? Meaning, they are realizing singaphakathi kwe-apartheid. Khona laba bafuna umhlaba mara ingathi difficult. And realize that the different racial groups, this is the ANC, the different racial groups have come here to stay. So, siyabayeka. Because the different racial groups, including Abelungu, they have come here to stay. Aribatlweleng shem. Aribatlweleng ka whatever they have taken. Let us try and unite. ANC. Okay. Let's continue. But we insist that a condition for interracial peace. Interracial peace. Nini? I-94. This was in the 1940s. Dali ANC bolile. Dala. Okay, let me try and say this. Ne? I'm hoping to do another presentation, and I'm hoping to do it as part of Tota University, my thesis. This hopefully will be my thesis. That democracy esihlala kuyo manje was designed by the apartheid system. That's my argument. And I already got stuff here. Because it's true. How can uhlupheka? Umuntu uyakushaya. Maqeda uthi, no. Awungamxoshi. Isi woza ngihlale na. Why? You don't do that. For what? Remember, during the 1940s was when apartheid was at its height. When they were passing laws, when people were carrying amatompas, when people were being arrested all over the place. Mara labantu laba. But you know, guys, interracial peace. I really want to swear. Like serious. Okay. Now, here's the last part, and then we move on. Ne? Now, a new definition of nationalism. Ibizwa ini, the Freedom Charter. We hear that a lot, angit? Now let's see. If anyone can see, what year is this? 1955. 1994. 1955. My father was born in 1948, 49, 50, 51, 52, 50. 7 years after my father was born. Ne? During the height of apartheid, the ANC explained which form of nationalism it supported. Which rejected race. Nini? I-94. During apartheid. They rejected this idea of race long time ago. Ngamanye amagama uMandela uphumazi ukuthi wenzani. Dala. Because he was one of the people who were here. He was part of Abo Anton Lambert. He was there. He was once the president of the Youth League. He was there. But we praise him. All that nonsense. The truth is this. What we thought was good is not. That's the truth. We have been lied to. Iqiniso. Let's continue. During apartheid, it called for a democratic government. Democracy. For all South Africans, regardless of race. So is the ANC going to save you? No ways. Forget it. It's not happening. It's not happening. Let me see quickly. I'm running out of time. Askis. The non-racialism of the Charter became a fundamental principle of the ANC policy. It defined the South African nation as belonging to all who live in it, black and white. So who benefits? Abelungu. What does it mean? It means they were there. I have documentation. They were there. They were in the background influencing abantu be-ANC. Already. Tina sijabulela ubaba esingamazi. We can't even hear what he's saying when he speaks. uMandela ubhizi nje nonsense of it. Okay. Let's continue. Now listen carefully. I'm going to mention something, but I'm not saying that I'm supporting this party. I'm merely telling the truth. Now, iti, however, not all ANC members accepted the non-racial approach. Again, Bogliwa, again. A group led by Robert Sobukwe broke away to form the PAC. They accused the ANC of what? Abandoning the ideals of the youth leagues by moving away from Africanism towards non-racialism. It's clear. The reason why we have Robert Sobukwe, the reason why we have PAC, is because Baboni, Hori, the black man is in trouble here. Long time. Where is PAC now? It does not exist. It was destroyed. Deliberately. Thank you. Okay. Let me continue with the presentation. I'm not done, Mandela, by the way. You are going to see things that he said. I'm going to get into quotes that he said. So that abantu bangang blame me for putting words in people's mouth. I just find things, Mimi. I find things. If you ask me to find something, I'll find it. And, okay. Now we are here. So, remember, we are under the part that says enemy of black consciousness. So, me now, my opinion, my constitutional right, my freedom of expression is this. Mandela is one of the enemies of black consciousness. Now, let me show you. Now that we have seen this, you are going to see more revealing things. This is a quote from Nelson Mandela. Where do I get it? I get it from a book by Ian Mekhoe. He was my former lecturer at University of Pretoria. He knows me. He knows what I believe. So, this is what he says in response to black consciousness. Mandela uti, in a cosmopolitan environment where common sense and experience demand that freedom fighters be guided by progressive ideas and not by mere color, this is what he says, the ideology of black consciousness movements remains embryonic and clannish. Let me explain. Embryonic means into encane, engana form, into ekumele ikhule. Embryo, it comes from the word embryo. And then the next word that he used is clannish, meaning lento le black consciousness that is trying to do. It focuses too much on this idea of blackness, clan. We must move away from that. That's what he's saying. But how can he say this while he was scolded by Robert Sobukwe for wearing Xhosa regalia? If you are saying something is so clannish, why are you promoting your clan? Now, I skipped. Now, let me just wrap up quickly. I just want to read this part. Ne? I'm almost done. This is my thoughts. I wrote my thoughts down because I forget a lot. Ne? I remember calling into a popular radio station that claims that it is Pan-Africanist, and I spoke to a gentleman there. He was a guest for that radio station. He was the president of some African institute. He said to me, I called in, he said to me, Pan-Africanism is dead. And I told him, it's not. What exists now is a pseudo-Pan-Africanism. Pseudo means fake. Ne? The one that looks like the black man who lives above Ekasi but goes there to enjoy himself, thinks that the best of himself is all the white expressions he can master. That's the kind of black man we have now. What's wrong with you? Choose to maybe. When it comes to today's presentation, I think the same method of black community programs must be used as a platform to have the opportunity to conscientize people. Let me explain. Steve Biko, when black consciousness took form and people were supporting it, they set up what is called black community programs. Feeding schemes, reading clubs for black people only. And they used those platforms to help black people to be awake, to try and conscientize them to say, please be awake to who you are. The key to success is that we must not focus on increasing in size, popularity, or reaching everybody. That's not the goal. That is a mistake that many organizations and even churches make. So a mistake from La is by going all over the place. Hey, you must wake up, you must wake up. It's not going to work. What is needed is a small group of people who are reproduced. You must focus on quality. Make sure that into funugui to put across comes across and that person becomes a duplicate of you. That's what you must focus on as an organization, as a church. Not to grow. Grow will come. Focus on what you have and make it as pure as possible. Why is it that Amabunu, even today, they know very well, Uguti, a black man is inferior to me. Nabantwana bakon. They know, Uguti, the British oppressed the Afrikaners. Young people, they know. Because their parents make sure, Uguti, they teach them history. There's a website called afrikaans.com. Everything to do with Amapun. It has everything. When you're an Afrikaner, you go to that website to write, Kona mapazari, kona yonkinto. For the Afrikaner. But Tina, on the other hand, when we try to do something pure, they break it. Because they know that if we do things the way they should be done, we will be successful. So the goal is to reproduce this thing as pure as possible. It is not about the number of people. It is about the right people. Please understand. If you are a leader of an organization, if you are doing something, Don't focus on ngifuna abantu beze. Focus on getting the right people. Because gula, if you focus on numbers, kimo hutlo kenang poison. I poison ikuzongena and it's going to destroy. That's what happened to the PAC. That's what happened to the ANC. Okay, now, my last thoughts. I'm done. Both quotes are from Steve Biko, and I'm going to speak them, and hopefully something will happen. He says, "We are aware of the terrible role played by our education and religion in creating amongst us a false understanding of ourselves. We must therefore work out schemes not only to correct this, but further to be our own authorities rather than wait to be interpreted by others." This is him speaking. The second quote that I made one of my life principles is this: "It is better to die for an idea that will live than to live for an idea that will die." Now, when he said this, somewhere, somehow, he knew Uguti, the idea of black consciousness will live on. He knew there's no way you're going to say this and not have an idea that it's going to live. And it did, and it does. And I was telling my brother yesterday, I was saying, I believe that Ubiko, Maga, when he came up with black consciousness, he died young, I think at the age of 27. And what is needed, one of these generations, whether it's us, whether it's our children, somebody's going to get it right. And somebody's going to add to this that makes black consciousness complete. That's what I said to my brother. Because my brother said, yeah, now he thinks it's dead. I said, no, it's not dead. It's impossible. And let me prove it again. I'm going to quote Solomon Mahlangu. Ne? He was in court, Bambambile. He was part of Umkhonto Wesizwe. Bayamtshela bathi mfethu, if you take back your words, we won't kill you. Amabhunu asho kanjalo. Just take back your words. USolomon Mahlangu yazi wathini? Wathi, it's okay. Even though you kill me, my blood is going to be watering the seeds of the future generation. That's what he said. Now, question is, how does he know that? Because it's happening. It's happening. Now, it means Biko, Solomon Mahlangu, Robert Sobukwe, and everyone else, they knew something that we must figure out today and get it. And this is how I believe we're going to get it. And I want us to, ngiyacela for us to hopefully do this. Ne? This is part of an anthem. Ne? Okay, let me put it like this. Amabhunu are killing, amabhunu agisejele when you respond by praying. Why? It means that ikhona into bebayibona that they knew only God can fix. So, I'm going to try something here. Hopefully, it's going to work. So basically, Nkosi sikeleli Afrika, phakamisa uphondo lwayo, izwa imithandazo yethu, sibe moya munye. Noma sekunzima emhlabeni, sihlukunyezwa kabuhlungu, Nkosi sipha amandla wokunqoba silwe noSathane. How? Why would you use that language against apartheid? That means there's something that they knew that we must figure out. And I believe we will do that. I believe we will figure it out. So I'm going to try. Hopefully it's going to work. Hopefully it's gonna work. Can we please sing along? Halo paganyesu pondolwayo izwa imithanda yethu sibe moyamo Kosi sikelela e-Afrika maluphakanyesu pondolwayo izwa imithanda yethu sibe moyamo noma sekunzima emhlabeni sihlukunyezwa kabuhlungu Nkosi sipha amandla wokunqoba silwe noSathane noma sekunzima emhlabeni sihlukunyezwa kabuhlungu Nkosi sipha amandla ukunqoba silwe noSathane amandla. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for the talk. Progress. So what I would like to know is, because I've been researching about many African leaders, you know, especially those who are responsible for the African Renaissance all over Africa.
Yeah.
But Big was president, no, not Big. So I couldn't find a clip, any clip, whether video or audio, whereby he talks or is, you know, sending a message to all the aspiring African leaders. So do you know maybe a website where I can go and attain such information?
Okay, thank you for that question. You are right. I also don't know of any clip where you can see him speak. But there are a few recordings. We can meet up and then I'll show you where to get them. There are a few recordings and very, very, very little documentation. Why? Because it was deliberately destroyed. Now, today, if possible, try to watch SABC television. they like to play documentaries. Ne? There's a documentary they like playing every year, June 16. They talk about Robert Sobukwe. And they asked uMandela a question, very simple question. They asked him, why is it that Robert Sobukwe, nothing is said about him, no documentation, nothing? And you know how Nelson Mandela responds? He responds by just giggling. What's your affair? He doesn't say anything. So what am I saying? Please understand. What I'm saying is this. I did not come here to bash Mandela. I came here to tell the truth. The point is this. The reason why we don't have a lot of his information compared to other leaders is because he was probably the greatest threat South Africa to the apartheid government ever. So he had to die. He had to die. So, but we'll come together and I'll just give you some of what I have. Thank you. Is there someone else? Yes.
No, I'm standing up with respect to much respect because I am emotional. I was waiting for the emotional part, and I got that emotional part. I'm part of a movement of freedom as well, a spiritual movement. That is where I am from. And last year I had an event where I hosted young men or youth, but my question is, we spoke to a few about the mind state of black men, how broken and how affected they are mentally. My question to you is, do you think the reason why black men are so broken and mentally disturbed, if I may use that word, without offense, it is because the inner soldiers in them was killed and confused. And the reason why they Mazazi or they are this broken is that they need to be revived of who they are, where they can get to this point where Otetangai, where they know who they are. Do you think that is basically what the problem is?
Thank you for that question. Yes. The plight of black men all over the world is sad. But okay, let me say this. Yes, the black man is the way he is because he is detached from his past. The only thing he knows is his immediate family and the schooling environment and friends, and that's it. That's all he knows. But there is something in every black man that cries out. How does it show itself? It shows itself, one, the rate of suicide. Men kill themselves more than women all over the world. Number two, something cries out in men whenever, let's say for example, there are issues that disturb what they think is their role. For instance, provision, protection. Whenever you disturb that process, it kills the man because that's what the man is supposed to do. It's part of who we are. That's why whenever you take that away from us, we can't survive. And there's nothing wrong with that. The feminist will tell you, no, women can also provide. But 2 weeks ago, Channel 405, Newsroom Africa, they mentioned Uguti, working women are falling apart. Baba Nama breakdowns because they can't handle the pressure. But the men can because it's part of who they are, and there's nothing wrong with that. So when you take that away from him and you tell him, "Aye, go right, it kills kills them, and that's why unemployed men compared to unemployed women. Unemployed women can gather the small things that they have and try and provide for their family. But an unemployed man, it's a problem. So I don't know if I've answered you in part maybe, but yes, lezinto that black men are facing is part of the crisis of not knowing who we are as men.
I have two questions. First of all, thank you so much for the presentation. It was quite enlightening. There was an interview Mekhoe that I was watching, and it seemed he was saying if black people become in power, they should also strive for a rainbow nation, if I may put it that way. So would you consider Steve Biko to be somebody who was also moderate? And the second question is, if let's say you were the leader of South Africa, how would you address the situations that we are in right now? Would you say, would you not push for racial unity? Would you just say, let them go first? So what would be your solution to what's happening?
Okay, thank you for that question. The first one, if I'm not mistaken, referring to that interview, he actually said that black consciousness must not be viewed outside of the political movements of the time. And we must not ignore some of the movements that are also fighting for our liberation, in spite of the fact that they are multiracial. That's how I understand it. But then, just to clear some things, while I was researching, I came across a thesis. Someone wrote a thesis to say, Steve Biko, as much as Bekakulma, the way Bekakulma, he was supported by white people. And then others say some of the questions that you said, he seemed to be moderate. But now what I can say is this. His ideas or the beginnings of black consciousness were such that it aimed not to be moderate. It aimed to free the black man. The problem that he faced was meeting people who are his peers and who are his contemporaries. And he saw the overwhelming opposition of his own people to his ideas, which makes a leader sometimes become scared. And there's nothing wrong with that. Now, just because you see, Uguti, what you are trying to do might not reach to where you want it to be, it does not mean that what you have said and your experiences are completely destroyed. So, he said some of the things he said because he could not be in a better position. He was tied up. Not because of white people, but because of the number of black people who he didn't expect that he would get so much opposition from. Yes, I don't know if I've answered you. The second question? Second question. Okay, to be honest, if I was a leader, this is what I would do. Okay, it's not perfect, but this is what I would do. Number one, I would gather all the people who have even the slightest understanding of black consciousness. Let me give you an example. I'm not promoting the guy, I'm just saying. Me, as a leader, I would bring him close. For example, I would bring him close. Let me tell you why. Because he said something so important. Bega interviewer got this other podcast, very famous podcast in the country. He said, ukudla is free. That's what he said. Ati, if he was a leader, he was going to make it law ukuthi ube nomhlaba and you must plant so that you can have free food. That's what he said. Umuntu ocabanga kanjalo unengqondo. Ne? That's why I would bring him close. Yes, I have many questions for him. One day, hopefully, we'll meet. But I would bring him close. Ne? And then I would bring other people of like-mindedness. And if I was president, knowing the power that I have, knowing that the majority of black South Africans I can hopefully influence them, I would go to the white farmers and say, guys, let's be honest. Here's the history books. I'll give them all the information because I know Afrikaner history. I was forced to study it. I'll tell them, look, the truth is, guys, your ancestors did wrong. Whether you believe it or not, whether you believe you were chosen by God, oksalayo, innocent people died. Are you willing to fix this country or not? Are you willing to give up your land or not? Because there are Afrikaners who did give up their land. Quite a few who gave up half of their land and gave it to their workers. Okay, it's fine, it's not enough. But I would go to them and I would tell them, look, if you don't fix the problem, I'm going to tell the people to take the land. Yes, you will kill me, it's fine. I'll join my brother, it's okay. But I'm going to tell all black people to take the land if you don't want to help us. If you are saying, I was not there just because my father did this, it does not mean it's me. Yeah, it's okay. But you have benefited somehow. And the black man is not in a better condition. Yes, he goes to school, but he does not learn about blackness. He learns about whiteness. So if you don't want to be part of the project, we are bulldozing. Simple. Because the people who make the most impact in anything are people who are not afraid to die. That's it. If you are not afraid to die, say up. So yeah, I hope I've answered it. Oh, Mama? Mkonujani Mama? Okay. Mama bengicela nje mangiqeda ne sikwazi ukukhuluma kahle and then sabona ukuthi singayenza kanjani. Okay, ngiyabonga. Are there any other questions? Okay. There's one question. Okay. Yes. Oh, okay. Okay. Yes.
So to bring closer this necessary to the community, how this deposit ties to that line.
Oh.
Yeah, because it means coordinated.
Okay.
Even when it looks like if you need to
yeah, okay. No, yes. So Uputi is saying that because sihlala in an age where abantu banamafoni babhizi ngama-Twitter nani, how about i-presentation le ikhona ukuba accessible to everybody? So he's basically asking where can this presentation be found so that ikhona ukuspread and abantwana bangalaleli izinto ezi-snacks bazama ukulalela izinto that will help them. So this whole day is going to be posted, ne? Is it Tenda Wema Brackets? Yeah, got the channel, yeah, YouTube called Tenda Wema. Oh, and Afro West, yes. So more details is our Tola Gu Chava or Gu Brageb or Gus Pamandla. But after this whole thing, you can come and then we'll tell you where to find it. Are there any more questions? Yes, sir.
I wanted to add what you were saying about the guy who lives his sharing the the first problem arose when T has black people removed from rural areas, such as the township, because
Yes.
But people don't understand, or but they don't notice that here they're all exposed to using this long job abuse. Kids are exposed to language in Arabic, right? They're exposed to that's why some of us are oppressed.
Yes.
If we are in our car right now, you still have to in case I was shot 10 years ago, he said you're now, and I'm every single day of one time. Because if we are in the team, or the MCs I feel really rising and has more complications. But now, I'm telling you now, 12 years old man, to try to learn more part, to so, I think when I was evolution happened and we moved to Western.
Yes.
I'm not saying evolution is wrong, but that's progress to our roots as we now now. As in conditions of the work, actually, then maybe then how it become better than it is now. Because from here it goes where it was.
Yes. Thank you, Putwam. Just to add Ganani, okay, this is how it happened. In the homelands, or Swabiza Emaplasi, people who lived there sustained themselves. They used to plant, so when the Europeans came, and especially during a period mine, when gold was discovered and all those things and diamonds, white business wanted cheap black labor. So what did they do? Ukuthi ba destroy the system yethu yokuthi sizenzele ukudla. Farming is not a white thing. Farming is a black thing. They learned from us. Let me show you what they did. They introduced a tax system by a law to say everybody must pay tax in money format. So emaplazini there was no money, abantu bebazenzela. So ubaba was forced ukuthi ahamba yosebenza so that angaboshwa for tax purposes. Ushiya the home. Umama was the one who was now responsible. Uyahamba uye emaminini. Makafika emaminini, bamsayinisa contract that says you are not allowed to go home for 6 months, for a year. What happens? Ubaba starts sending imali, yangithi. But when he finds out ukuthi angisakhona ukubuyela ekhaya as I wish, they start building a life in the mines. It is happening today. If you go to the mines, Putwam, as a young black man singing, you are gone. Uzothola umama ozokuphekela, uzothola umama ozoku-accommodate, you are gone forever. Now, the Abu Baba started building a life around the mines because they couldn't go back home. Amabun waenzani through Paul Kruger. Paul Kruger introduced a beer system or a beer tax. He built brothels. He brought prostitutes. So that when the man leaves iplaza, ahambe mamaini no right, akasakhumbule ekhaya. That's why we have the problems that we have. Because that system was destroyed. If you don't believe me, you can watch Kumbuleka or any other program that's similar. Ubaba since ahambe 19 mang uyofuna umsebenzi akabuyanga because bambambile, not because uthanda abafazi. No, it's because the work that he does bambambile so that he could not go back home. Then a woman is introduced because now a woman ufuna ukwenza ukudla nayo ufuna ukwenza business is introduced udla lapho khona utshwala la khona ama prostitutes la. He's not going to come back. It's a system that was designed like that. The Paul Kruger era. That's why we are where we are. Another example, if you go into every kasi, whether Emidolands, every kasi in a tavern, if you notice, Mangena into every kasi, there's taverns, Mekhoe of the major streets. It was designed like that. Ukutabo baba mabayo sebenza, mabakholile, bahutla before they go home, they pass through the tavern. They want to relax because they've been told that they are kafirs at work. They want to relax, bangene ma tavern, they forget. By the time I endlini, imali pelile. The wife is angry, uyamchika. The husband brings the anger from there, ashayumfaz, because he's angry. It's a system that was designed like that. So, yes, back to the previous questions. That's what the man is facing now. It comes from all of that. A modern day man, uyakula manje, chances are ukula mazuba ukutubani or Yamaz is not in his life. We are school, we're primary school, the teachers mostly are female, there's no male figure. If you call him male figure, he goes to school, standard 5, standard 6, 7, 8, 9, metric, uploma nimpinchi zakhe, kona maoga pipe, kona yonkinto, we have okay, there's a sense of identity, nothing right now. Now, he comes with people who are like him. Nah, but they come from broken homes. Nah, but they don't know their father. That's what they know. Baya kula, baya still, okay, I want to fix this. I'm going to get married and I'm going to try and fix the situation. He gets married, he finds, okay, the wife now comes from a similar background. Now, uyalwa, ufunuk aseta dominance yakhe. Then there's that struggle. No one recognizes Uguti. Konje, what's your role? Oh, your role is this. Oh, okay. Konje, what's my role? Oh, my role is this. That's gone because the media and everything is telling us Uguti, we must want everything. And it's impossible. So this is what I say. If you want me as a man to protect you, then you must allow me to protect you. Because if Skalaswe 2, Magungena Bantula, all the women are going to expect us men to fight. They are not going to fight. Why? I'm not trying to be weird. Because it's our role. It's who we are. There's nothing wrong. So what does the media teach men and women? It teaches men and women to say, no, I want everything. Tata yonke into. Why men unga embrace your female side? For what? I've got my wife. Why should I embrace my female side? For what? So you see, all this information is in the man's mind. I'm confused. And that's some of where the problems are. But yeah, in the absence of any questions, thank you so much. The next word that he used is